Good evening, and welcome to another edition of Tell the Truth and Shame the Devil. I'm Jennings Bernard, your host. As always, you can catch me right here on Facebook Live each and every day, Monday through Friday, from 5 to 6 p.m. Tell a friend to tell a friend that Tell the Truth and Shame the Devil is on the air. That's right. You know what we talk about here: business, legal, social, whatever affects you in this community. And we talk about politics because politics is everything, and everything is politics. We got a lot going on in the city of Memphis. Always something, one way or another. As they used to say, this, that, and the other in the city of Memphis. Again, I still say welcome in, task force, the National Guard, all of that. And I hear these knuckleheads out here saying that we don't need the National Guard. I was listening at live at 3 on 3 this evening with Alex Coleman. And you had Dr. Warren, city councilman, and uh, Councilwoman Green, and they was going back and forth whether we should have task force here, uh, the National Guards back and forth. And just let me say this here. We're gonna get into it because I'm reaching back in my what I would call history box, and we're gonna pull up something that happened about 3 years ago. I was never ever satisfied with the result of what happened. And we're going to talk about a good friend of mine, Mark Coleman. If you remember, go back 3 years ago, Mark Coleman, and we'll get into it. But was playing golf, and I used to play with golf with Mark Coleman all the time. Whenever he would call me and I was available, we would go over to either Alderman Park golf course, or we would go right around the corner from me to Fox Meadows golf course. We played a lot of golf over there at Fox Meadows. And we're going to get into that, but I want to first uh, ask you if you would subscribe to the picture, this video, and tell your friend to subscribe to it. We really do appreciate you for doing that. And also, if you would go to memphisrealtalk.com, that's the website, Memphis Real Talk, one word, .com. Go over there and look at what we are posting and what we're doing. You can catch up on any and all shows that we have done. We pull them over into an area called media, and that's where all of the recorded programs would be for you going back. We started doing this in October. So we are on November, and November is over. All the November programs will be over in that area for your viewing. If you don't have the time to sit and listen and watch the show right now, you can go after you fix the dinner and do what you're gonna do. Eat dinner. You can go back and relax, shut the door, and just enjoy. But go to this website, memphisrealtalk.com, and you can go to the home page and pan down. You will see the shows for this month. Well, after this month, you will go to the media page where October and then November, and then we would start on December. And we're going to keep these programs out to you so it gives you an opportunity to go back and see what we have done, what I've said, who I interviewed, and who I talked to. But we want you, when you go over to that website at memphisrealtalk.com, go down there and hit the donation page. Uh, no matter how small or how large, whatever you want to leave to be a part of this program as a help or aid to this program, feel free to do it. But also subscribe on Facebook. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in. Welcome in. I often say, and I continue to say, I really do appreciate you, and that's from the bottom of my heart. I'm not just saying that to be saying that. I'm just giving you an opportunity to really be a part of what we are trying to do and what we are putting together here on your behalf. And that is to deal directly with the sources that run this city. If you go to Ann County, if you would go to my storyline, you will see what I posted today. Uh, we just essentially have what I consider bad leadership. And when you get bad leadership, we get bad government. And that's where we are. Uh, we got a lot of, as they used to say, book learning individuals who may have degrees on their wall, but one thing they like, and this would take you further in some cases than the degree you got on the wall, and that is common sense. Now, you take a person with a degree that got common sense, then that is truly a smart person. But then you got people who have degrees and don't have a lick of common sense. Then you got a fool for a representative. You got a fool for a mayor. You got a fool for a county mayor, school board, city council. And it has been proven. We got fools on the school board. And it will be proven uh, very shortly in regard to those. You got fools on the city council who allowed our the supercomputers to come into here and not giving any count of what it will be the long fall and the fallout from that computer and those turbines, uh, supposed to be 15, but they had over 30 over there, and they had to go back to the 15. So it really shows you that they care really nothing about you. What they care about is the cash money. The OJ said it back for the love of money. And that's what we are as a society in America this day. It's about the billionaires, it's about the upper class, the middle class. But the Bible says that, and the poor shall be among you always. And it's our job, the obligation, the leaders, to make sure that we do what is necessary to take care of the people. Well, I'm going to get right into it. What I'm going to talk to you about today is something that I happen to be a part of, had very much knowledge of it. I was in the room with all the participants except the individual who did what I'm about to tell you that he did. And I'm going to put this individual uh, face up on this uh, page here, and you would know about, I said, maybe 3 years ago. Yeah, 3 years ago, you would know about this situation and what happened in this situation. What I thought, once I found out about it, I said, listen, I got to jump into this. I cannot let this go because, first of all, this happened to a very dear friend of mine. And I'm not one that if I call you a friend, I'm there with you through thick and thin, and no matter what, I will be there. And most folks will say that they are your friends, but when the rubber meets the road, they will not be there for you. This individual that you see on the screen right now is Wesley Caldwell. 3 years ago, Wesley Caldwell took a golf club and and hit Mark Coleman. I'll show you Mark Coleman picture here in a minute, and hit him in the head. And let me give you a little history how the affidavit read in regard to this situation. Mark Coleman and I played golf a lot together. He would call me, I would call him and say, "Are you free to play golf?" And he would say, "Yeah, come on, we'll meet up." But this particular time, I was either had some obligation that I couldn't play or he didn't call, but he called one of his frat brothers. And this is the main reason I've never been a part of a fraternity. The only thing that I have been a part of that for many years was that of being a Mason. But a Mason organization, a fraternity organization, and when it comes to women, a sorority, is about as good as the people who are part of that organization. So Mark Coleman was playing with one of his fraternity brothers. And this individual, as you see on the screen right now, and let me say this, when I get through, people would say, "Oh, it wasn't a black thing, it wasn't a white thing. It was something just happened." But when I get through with you and giving you the basis of this, you will find that this was racist. You will find that this was a white thing and a black thing. And it all came down to racism, in my opinion. This individual that you're looking at, Wesley Caldwell, out of Mississippi, somewhere around Hernando, was up here playing golf also at the links of Whitehaven. And many of you know where that's at. That's on the Holmes Road. And it's a golf course, 9-hole golf course. I played tournaments over there when I was a part of a organization or a golf club. We used to have tournaments and see um, what tournament, what individual would win. Excuse me, I got distracted there for a minute. But while Mark Coleman was playing there, this individual, and let me say this to you so I can get back on point. When playing golf, there's something that says you can hook a ball or you can slice a ball. When you hook a ball, sometimes it goes over into the other lane of golfers who are golfing. And this game is pretty much a gentleman's game where you respect, you understand. If you hear a hook, there's a term you use and you holler out for. That is to let people know that the ball may be coming in their direction. From the affidavit, this individual was on another lane. Mark Coleman evidently hit a hook or whatever that got his ball over into the other lane where this individual, Wesley Caldwell, with his group was playing. Mark Coleman went over to go and retrieve his ball, but this individual, Wesley Caldwell, decided that he would pick up the ball and throw it into the water. Mark Coleman, according to the affidavit, approached him. This individual, Wesley Caldwell, decided that he would take his golf club and hit Mark Coleman in the head. Okay, y'all follow me? And when he decided to do that, they had to airlift Mark Coleman to Regional 1. And as a result of that, Mark Coleman was in the hospital in a coma for almost 50 some days. I used to go out there to visit him, and I saw the damage that was done to Mark Coleman. This is Mark Coleman. Many of you may know him. As I sit there and prayed for him and watched him, and the family knew that we played golf together, and they knew that I considered Mark to be a good dear friend. And like I said, that when I consider you to be a friend, I'm a friend indeed. But if I consider you to be an enemy, then I don't fool with you because I don't care too much for you. And I've had some people right now that I don't care too much for because of their attitude and because of it's more about them than anybody else. And that falls in the category of a lot of your politicians. But this young man here, and this is what Mark looked like. He was very vocal. We used to debate as it relates to political issues, and I considered him a friend. As I said, Mark went over to the lane to retrieve his ball, and Wesley Carwell, the white guy that I just showed you, uh, decided he would pick up his ball and the water. From the affidavit, it said that Mark Coleman walked towards him. And he took a iron, as we call them in golf, a heavy metal golf club that's at the tip of it that is called an iron, and it's to tell you the destination of how far your ball would go if you really understood your club. You have the 3 iron, the 8 iron, you have the 9 iron, the 6 iron, and you can go on and on. But it's designed by its weight to tell you how far, if you hit your ball correctly, how far your ball will go. The affidavit, the police report said that Mark Coleman walked up to uh, Wesley Caldwell with his hands balled up, hands only, nothing but his fist balled up, and Wesley Caldwell hit him uh, with that golf club. And you wasn't there, but I'm telling you, to see a friend or a family member to be in the situation that Brother Coleman was, and that's him right there on the screen. Individual that love life, that love to talk, love politics. But to see him to the point that it was so bad that he was trying to speak, but because such brain damage, he was unable to put his words together. But he's getting a lot better now. I used to go get him and pick him up and go to the school board meetings, go to city council, and we would do that. And we haven't been in a while because of the thing that I was dealing with as it relates to business. But I know Mark listened to this program, and Mark, I'm doing this because my heart, my spirit, and my mind took me back to what happened to you. I can't describe the thing that Mark had to go through. He had a strong spirit, strong constitution that he was going to get back to where he is. And he's not quite back, but he's doing a whole lot better than people expected him to do. Now, let me get on with the story here. When Mark Caldwell was arrested, he was initially charged with aggravated assault. Well, when it went to the grand jury, the grand jury, they indicted uh, Wesley Caldwell on aggravated second assault, degree to murder. Okay, and this where it comes to show you how politics is everything, and everything is politics. Even in the courtroom, even in the justice system as we know it, politics is being played. And I was very upset to find out. And being in the room, as I said, being in that room and listen and watch the video that the prosecutors were showing in the midst of the Mark Coleman name attorney. And I want to show you, and most of you know who Van Turner is. I totally was in disagreement with what they came up with, but it wasn't not my business. It was the business of the family and what they decided. But as I sit there and watch Van Turner as a frat brother of Mark, who was standing in and representing the family, I was surprised to see that Van Turner, the representative for Mark Coleman, was going along with what the prosecutors wanted to do. And I had a problem with that. And I let them know my position when they was trying to say pretty much that Mark Coleman was at fault. And I gave them my opinion on that situation. To this day, I think that justice was not done. And we have to recognize the fact that sometimes games are played in the court system that we have here in Memphis, Tennessee. And we have to wake up and we have to be conscious of what happens in the court system. I've heard lawyers say that other lawyers get better deals from lawyers. And I've worked in the courtroom and I've seen individuals get less charges where they, in my opinion, should have gotten a more severe charge, but they didn't. So it lets me know that games can be played, and in this particular case, games were played. And in my opinion, that the game that were played even by the representation of Van Turner, and for him to go along with what happened in this situation really surprised me. And we'll talk about that. I'll show you Van Turner here in just a moment. So all of this, uh, Steve Mulroy in 2022, he was the DA in the office. And I think that Van Turner, as a representative of Mark Coleman and his family, he dropped the ball. I think Steve Mulroy, as the district attorney, uh, also dropped the ball, and his prosecutors. Now, understand something. As the grand jury, based on what they saw and the officer read to them in regard to what happened, decided to indict Wesley Caldwell on aggravated second degree murder, attempted second degree murder. But then, when the deal was struck, this individual that hit Mark Coleman in the head, y'all remember this, was only charged with aggravated assault. And keep in mind, Mark Coleman is still struggling from those injuries today. They only charge him with put him on probation for 4 years and no jail time. Well, let me tell you about the video. The video that they showed. I was in the room with the family, along with Van Turner, which Van Turner would tell you I strongly disagree with the prosecutor. And their position was that Mark Coleman had his fist balled up once Wesley Caldwell threw his ball into the water. He walked towards him, and before he could get to him, Wesley Caldwell hit him in the head. And I got one back here. I wanted to show you exactly what I'm talking about. What did I do with it? Then here it is back here. This is most of you know what a golf club is. And let me see, this golf club is what we call a 3-iron. It tells you, as I said, the distance of how far your ball would go if you hit it properly. At the tip of this golf club, it is a 3-iron, and most of you golfers know what I'm talking about. This is a heavy piece of metal in the hands of Wesley Caldwell that became a deadly weapon. This is nothing but iron carved to become a club, a golf club. He hit him with this, or a club similar to this, and cracked his head wide open to the point that he had to have a plate put in his head. And this video that they were showing showed Mark walking up, and you could hear a crack, and that crack was when the Mark Wesley Caldwell hit him. You could hear, and then they said to Mark's family, they said to me, they said to Van Turner, well, due to the fact that Mark was the aggressor, that we wouldn't want to take it to trial. Now, my argument was something got to be wrong with y'all. This man has his fist, and this man hit him with this iron club, and you all gonna say that you don't want to take it to trial? All you had to do was bring Mark Coleman at that time to court, do the trial, have him to sit in front of the jury, and let the jury see what what he did to this young man. But they didn't want to do it. And I told them this is a bunch of BS. I said, this is crazy. But if the family went along with it, they went along with it. But they went along with it with the understanding that Van Turner, that's supposed to be representing Mark, supposed to be representing a frat brother. And there's no doubt that he did it. Because I was sitting there and he was looking at me strange when I was trying to talk to the prosecutor. And said, no, they need to take this to trial. I guarantee you they'll get a conviction on the second aggravated attempt second degree murder. But they didn't listen to me. It wasn't my call. It was their family call. And they went along with it under the leadership of Van Turner. So I walked out of the room and left them. I was hot. I said, if you all would accept it, and show you the love that I had for Mark, I'm the one who was going to establish a GoFundMe, and I want to thank you all publicly. When I last looked at it, I gave $500 of my cash money out of my pocket to the GoFundMe because he had medical bills and probably still do have medical bills. But I decided to give $500 out of my pocket because I considered him to be a friend. And I did that. And you all did things. The last time I looked at it was right at $11,000 that you had raised. Uh, I don't know what the final count was, but I remember the 11,000. You showed love to Mark, and uh, I see my brother now, and I know him when, but I see him still uh, doing good, but struggling because he's not 100% of himself due to the fact this racist white individual, and I call it like it is, wasn't nothing but racism. A man has his fist, but you take a golf club. You're bigger than Mark, but you take a golf club and you think you need to hit. And you can hear in the video Caldwell's friend that he was playing golf with. You could hear them holler, "Why did you do that?" So evidently they knew what Wesley Caldwell had done was wrong because they asked him that. But the prosecutors looked at that. And see, here it goes to show you how deals can be made and how lawyers can get people off. Now, we're looking at aggravated second degree attempt of murder. But Caldwell family end up getting Leslie Ballins as their attorney. Now, the charge was, and if we had gone to trial, would have been attempt aggravated second degree murder. But somewhere behind the negotiation, it came out that they only charged this white individual for hitting this black individual. Only gave him aggravated assault. Aggravated because he had a golf club. But he changed the course of Mark Coleman's life forever. He still tries to play a little golf from time to time. I haven't played with him, but they changed his life, and he ends up with 4 years probation, no jail time. But before I left the room in disgust with the prosecutor and Steve Mulroy's office, and discussed with Van Turner, who's supposed to have been representing and enlightening the people, because Mark Coleman was a fraternity brother. Okay? All of the other fraternity brothers were shocked at the fact that this is the only thing that he would be charged with, aggravated assault, and given probation. So me being who I am, very outspoken, don't care who you are, I'm about what's right. And this was not right, what they did to Mark Coleman. So here we are. I asked a question. So what are y'all telling me as I looked at the video? Are y'all telling me that I can go out and if a person came up to me with their fist balled up, you mean tell me I can take a golf club and hit him in his head, crack his head wide open, and I will only get probation? They said to me, the prosecutor, "Oh, no, Deputy Bernard," because they knew me. No, we're not saying that. Well, evidently you are saying that because this white boy, Caldwell, hit this black individual, Mark Coleman, in the head, and you gave him, and you're recommending 4 years probation with no jail time. I said, went a little further. I asked a question, ladies and gentlemen. I said, what if I had hit a white boy playing golf in the head? would I get 4 years probation and no jail time? They said, well, we can't speak to that. I said, I can. I can tell you right now, y'all would have threw me under the jail. And why? Because the individual I hit with the golf club would have been white. And you would have tried to bury me because I'm a black man who hit a white man in the head. That's all it is. That's the reason, in my opinion, that Wesley Caldwell got probation. High power lawyer who goes in and make deals like that and end up from, think about it, second degree, aggravated second degree attempt murder to aggravated assault. To me, there's some kind of connection that is there with certain attorneys that other attorneys can't get the deal. And their clients, if you look at the history and you go back and check the record, you could look at certain charges versus other charges and look at the race, in my opinion, of people versus white committing crime versus black committing crime and see who do all the jail time. And you know who do the jail time. But yet this individual hit a black man in the head with a golf club. Black man now life is forever changed because of the action of this guy. And then you turn around the DA's office with Steve Mulroy being the Attorney General for Shelby County went along with it. He should have known. And this is where I get back to C.J. Davis and anybody that's over in the office, whether you be a clerk, the buck stops with you. If you didn't know, you should have known because you got underlings that supposed to tell you about what's going on. And really, I would think Steve Mulroy had to sign off on it. I don't know whether he did or didn't, but you're in that office and you say you're for the people, but your office dropped the ball. And I'm not just going to put that totally on the DA's office, but Van Turner, you dropped the ball. And you know I was in disbelief as to what his family was going through, and you convinced them to okay, 4 years probation, and you don't crack this man's head open, and he will never be fully the same 100%. Now he's come a mighty long way. God has blessed him. But what would you have done? I know what I would have done. If an individual come telling me that the person who had hit one of my sons and altered his life forever come up to me talking about 4 years, I said, no ma'am, no sir, we going to trial. I would have brought my son in his condition. Would have had him and the prosecutors to have him to testify and see how he would struggle trying to walk. Probably couldn't walk because he would be in a wheelchair. Couldn't speak because his speech was severely slurred. Let the 12 jurors look and see what Wesley Caldwell did to Mark Coleman. He would have been found guilty, in my opinion, of aggravated assault, attempt second degree murder. But somehow the deals are being cut in the AG's office. Criminals in my opinion, in this situation that I can speak to, have allowed a criminal to do such a thing and to get 4 years probation, 4 year probation. And Mark, he watched this program. He's going on doing what he do, but then it's something that's deep in my crawl. But let me put the footnote to all of this and what I've said to you. And I want to show you, uh, and you all know who the district attorney is. Some of you know who Van Turner is. I wanted to show their pictures as well. But I'm telling you something. I'll throw this footnote so you can understand where I am. I think my wife and I was talking about this, and I told her, I said, you know what? God knew better than to have me playing golf with Mark Coleman on that day. God knew better not to have me being in that presence when Wesley Carwell struck Mark Coleman, my friend, with that golf club. God knew that it would have been a whole different situation if I had been playing instead of one of his fraternity brothers. It would have been a different scenario. Mark Coleman would have probably still been in the hospital. But Wesley Caldwell would have had serious problems that Mark Coleman had, if you know what I mean, if I had been there. So God knew that it was best that I not play golf with Mark on that day, because it would have, ladies and gentlemen, been a seriously different story. And God knew that because He created me. He gave me the mindset that I have. And God knows me better than anybody else. My wife knows me well. My children know me well. They have seen how I do when I protect them. When they were small and people would get out of order, they know who I was and who I am. And most of you that know me knew that that would have been a different scenario if I had been there. And Wesley Caldwell hit Mark Coleman in the head with that golf club. I want to know what you think as we get ready to leave here in just a few minutes. I thought I had to bring that up, and I'm going to bring up some more things. This is Caldwell again, right here. The one who was a coward. And I call him that. He's a coward that got away with what he did. This is Van Turner, the attorney that's supposed to have been representing the family, supposed to give them wise counseling. And what I saw, there was no wise counseling coming from this attorney, Van Turner. I know him well. He knows me well. Many of you can tell him I said what I said. He knows better. I would tell him the same thing, and I have told him we discussed it. But this is the individual supposed to be a frat brother of Mark Coleman. What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Sometimes you're put in positions to do what you have to do And that's why when we do not have strong representatives to represent us, we don't get the best of what we should have when it comes to representation. Sometimes you have to stand up. You really have to stand up. But when you are afraid to stand up, then the people suffer because of the lack of commitment that you have to do the right thing. And we're going to continue to have this. This was a black and white issue. When it came down to the legal system and the district attorney's office, they saw a white man, if they went to trial, that could go to jail for a good part of his life. So they came in there with that mess and convinced them, the family, to go along with that. I couldn't do nothing but tell them how I feel. And to this day, I think the action that they did in the determination of the outcome of this trial was racist. The prosecutors, in my opinion, was more concerned about the white boy as opposed to the black man. It came down to race, ladies and gentlemen. Bottom line, that's all it was, and that's all it was about. And this man got away with almost killing Marco and only got 4 years probation. I'm telling you, and you don't start. If you don't start standing up for yourself, you're going to fall for anything. And that's what happened in this situation. As I said, I couldn't say anything because it wasn't my family, it was my friend. And I think this man's office right here, that's Steve Morroy, should have known better. If he didn't know, he should have known that the disrespect and the prosecutors who was in this case failed the black community as well as failed Mark Coleman and his family. I'm Jennings Bernard. You've been listening to Tell the Truth and Shame the Devil. I will be doing more and more of these cases that I will be going back looking for. And I say to anyone from the prosecutor's office uh, that want to deny what I've said to you here today, uh, DA Mulroy, I would love for you to come on. And I know you're quite familiar with the case because it was all over the news. I know you're quite familiar with the fact that the white individual only got 4 years probation when he almost killed a man. And I would like to ask you, Steve Mulroy, what if I had did that to a white golfer? How much time would you have been trying to give me or any black man who had hit a white golfer like that? It is racism. It is just despicable as it relates to things that are going on in the legal system, in the private sector, in politics. We accept it. We got boo-boo the fool that are out here saying in this violent city that we do not need the National Guards here. And understand this, I do not bid anyone bad luck. Never, and I never will do that. I would never do that. But one thing sometimes I wonder, for all those folks who saying we do not need the God here, for all those people who say that we are fine, they need to go home and or we'll take care of our own business. Well, you think about it. You haven't been taking care of your business anyway. Look at the situation that you're in now, but you want to say that we can take care of ourselves. We're short on the police department. Nobody wants to work that's qualified under CJ Davis. That's my opinion. Because to me, proof shows that because they go into other cities and other states to work and they don't want to work here. And the money that you are supplying, in their opinion, is not worth either bothering with. I had to show you these individuals because these were the players in regard to this situation that happened to Mark Colton. If any of them, I say I get an invitation to Van Turner, come and talk about it. Steve Mulroy, come and talk about it. Anybody else that was involved in this, and I know the whispers and the talking, because I heard it. Man, how in the world did he get off with just 4 years probation? Don't let that settle in your head. 4 years probation. To all you black men, all of you black women that are out there, if you had done that to a white female, if you had done it to a black male, a white male, you being black, what do you think you would be now? They would be calling you not by name, they would be calling you by number. 950002, come forward. And that's the number they give you. Numbers like that in the penitentiary. If you had hit a white man or a white woman and they was crippled in this position. And the only reason they doing this to us is because we, and they know it, don't have the proper leadership. The leadership with backbone to take care of you. If you think I'm lying, I say it all the time, go outside and look at your streets. Go outside and look at the blight in your neighborhood. Go outside and see the dumping and the trash in your neighborhood. And they supposed to be representing you. Here we are. Van Turner, lawyer for the victim, agreed, and the family did. And I'm gonna tell you, the family, I would just say, really didn't know better. They depended on the guidance of Van Turner. And I say, in my opinion, he let them down. And I was frustrated, and I showed my frustration in that. But when they asked him the question, could I go out there and hit a white person in the head and get 4 months probation? They said, well, we don't know. Well, what do you mean you don't know? You just gave that to the white individual that hit the black man. So what's the difference if I go and hit a white man in the head with a golf club? Oh, it's a big difference because it comes down to one thing. Race is everything, and racism is everything as well. Hey, I really do appreciate you. If you enjoyed the program, remember to subscribe on Facebook. Go over to the website at memphisrealtalk.com and look at what we're doing on there. Go to every button that's here. We're going to add sports and other things as you can look and see what we are doing. In the words of my grandmother, she always said, if it's the Lord's will and the creek don't rise, We'll see you on tomorrow. And remember what I said. Trust everyone, but do not trust the devil inside of them. God bless. You take care of yourself.